everyone, so this might be one of those videos where I ramble a bit and I'm not sure exactly, won't be as succinct as I want to be. I want to talk about being a cancer patient and kind of the category and identity that comes with being a cancer patient or ex-patient. I obviously have multiple identities and multiple groups or categories that I belong to. Being a woman, I've always identified with being female and I was born female. Having a Spanish heritage and being both Spanish and Australian, being someone who is quite academic and very open and curious and always wants to learn new things. I'm also a gamer. I love to play lots of computer games, even board games. I love to read and write. And there are a billion other categories, or maybe not a billion, or maybe a billion, but there are lots and lots of other categories that I fit into, and I really feel like I'm part of that, and it feels like it's part of me. And for most of those categories, or a lot of those categories, they've been around for quite a while, or they've always been there in some capacity. Maybe I didn't know that I was really, passionate about writing when I was a child, but I would delve into writing, and I would always enjoy whenever I'd read a great story. I'd be really fascinated by stories all the time and be obsessed with trying to create stories in my games, with my toys, with other people. So things like that, like they're part of me. And I think this whole cancer thing, and it's something that I feel like probably everyone also feels, is that you're suddenly thrown this label or this category that has so much weight, or at least it feels like it has so much weight, and it's so heavy and it has so much attached to it, and it more or less, it's going to define the rest of your life as well. It's going to be a category that you hold with you for the rest of your life. And I think as someone growing up, and as people like in society, we think about cancer patients in a certain way, whether we want to or not. It's just how, sometimes, society portrays or media portrays cancer patients. But, there's this kind of like energy or weight or being around that category. And when it's suddenly thrown upon you, obviously no one expects to get it. No one thinks, unless maybe your family has a long history of something and you are expecting it. But generally speaking, most people don't expect getting hit with that identity and with what comes with having cancer. And all of a sudden, from one day, you live your life, happy, dandy, whatever, doing your thing, and the next day, all of a sudden, you're just like thrown this category, you're thrown this thing that is, going to define you all of a sudden from one day to the next, and it's just so heavy, and obviously it's accompanied with a lot of negative things like, worrying about your life, mortality, really being really conscious of your mortality, thinking about your loved ones, and your loved ones thinking about you, and what if you, can't get through this. And obviously there's a lot of negative things that are associated with it, which also is why it sucks and why there is so much crap that comes with it. But its suddenness, I think, is one of its kind of worst things. The fact that it is so sudden and it is so heavy. The fact that you potentially have to worry about it for the rest of your life as well, about it, coming back, is what makes it so hard to try to make cancer part of your identity. When you never wanted it, when it was never meant to be you, it's always going to be someone else, but it is you, and you have to take it on. And obviously everyone takes different categories differently, and people, embrace identities in different ways. And not everyone's going to embrace cancer or necessarily take on cancer in the same way as other people do. For some people, maybe it isn't something that they really think about that much, even though it is part of their identity. But it's something that I've been thinking a lot about, and I know that even within cancer, you then have all these different categories and identities and ways of experiencing things. And for example, Hodgkin's lymphoma, for my age group, for me, I have a very good prognosis. I just have to kind of get through this chemo. And then you might have a different cancer that has a lot worse prognosis, maybe a lot less awareness, and you're in a totally different life cycle and life stage. And there are just so many things that affect it so much, and yet we're all kind of put into this one thing of cancer patient. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things in trying to figure out my path or figure out what's going on and trying to find out how cancer is going to affect me and as me, is realizing that it's really about how Hodgkin's lymphoma is going to affect me, because cancer is just such a broad term, and it's just so hard to just put everyone underneath it. At the end of the day, these categories or different identities exist because there's a group of people who share some kind of experience. Maybe they share similar experiences, or they share some kind of characteristics, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, etc. They share something as a group of people, and obviously as a group of people with cancer share the fact that they've all experienced having to get cancer. But because cancer is so different and so separate, and it can be just such a unique case-by-case kind of example. It's such a unique I can't speak. It is such a case-by-case thing that you have to kind of analyze and look at what's going to happen for you and what is your experience going to be. I feel like, yeah, for me, it's more about how Hodgkin's lymphoma is going to affect me. And I think that's another reason why I find it so nice to be able to talk to other people who have had Hodgkin's lymphoma, or just interact with them and see, or with the lymphomas maybe, and see how they've coped and their experiences, because my experiences are more similar to theirs as opposed to someone who maybe has had a brain tumor, or someone who has had prostate cancer, because obviously I can't get prostate cancer. And that's not to say that you can't obviously empathize and still share experiences, because obviously we still have all had cancer, but there are so many other experiences within that cancer experience that might be just totally different. And I guess that's why I've been trying to think about it more as my Hodgkin's lymphoma experience as opposed to my cancer experience. And this might mean nothing to a lot of people, and maybe, you know, whoever's watching, thank you for watching, of me rambling this far. But just something, yeah, I've just been like going over my head, especially when I'm fatigued and bored, and just thinking about things and thinking about how things are affecting me and how things are not affecting me. I've just been thinking a lot about the whole, cancer thing and Hodgkin's lymphoma thing, and that category and that identity, and how much do I want it to affect me, or how much will it affect me even without me wanting it to. And another element to that identity thing for me is that I'm so young. And even though Hodgkin's lymphoma does affect a lot of young people, cancer itself doesn't affect a lot of young people as a broad category. And so that is definitely also affecting my identity in some way. I have to think about cancer coming back for the rest of my life as a 3-year-old. But other 20-something-year-olds don't normally have to think about cancer or cancer coming back or having to go do chemotherapy. I'm obviously very fortunate that I don't have to worry about, children or anything, or mortgage or things like that other people have to worry about when they are going through cancer and chemotherapy. I'm able to just be at home and have my mother, my partner to take care of me. But definitely the whole young people thing is something that I have to take on board, that other cancer patients do not have to. They might get cancer when they're a lot older, in their 50s or 60s or even older. And so it's kind of this thing that maybe they're not expecting, but they know is a risk of their age group. And a lot of other people around them of similar age are maybe also experiencing or have experienced. Whereas for me, I'm very alone in terms of my friends and everyone around me. Everyone just kind of looks at me with a lot of pity, or has a lot of pity, or not so much pity. It is pity. But it's kind of this whole sense of, it's just not fair. It's not fair that you have this, you are so young. That's probably why I'm also doing these things, these videos, because I love talking to other young people and talking about how crap this all is, and the things that kind of affect us more in this age group and what we might have to take on with us as we age. I'm kind of seeing it as something that is affecting my life severely right now, because obviously I have to go through the treatment. But it's actually been the treatment itself, the chemotherapy, that I've had a much more unhealthy relationship with. It's a thing that's been causing me to feel so ill and been causing me to feel so horrible. Whereas my cancer itself didn't cause too many symptoms apart from really horrible, distressing feet itchiness, which is horrible. But apart from that, nothing else. And obviously I'm doing chemotherapy because of the cancer, but yeah, in my head it's kind of like I'm more angry at chemo than the cancer, even though chemo is actually saving my life. It's a bit weird. But yeah, I'm seeing it more as the cancer is affecting my life right now really badly. But hopefully once I get through the chemo, and hopefully, once the cancer is gone, I hope that I never get it again, and that I'm able to live my life without having to think about my existence as a cancer patient or ex-cancer patient, even though it will affect me. I hope it will be more of a period in my life that I'm able to kind of put away as a chapter. And then obviously I'm always going to be worried to some extent. I don't want it to come back, and maybe I will have to face the Hodgkin's lymphoma again, and I'll have to prepare myself mentally again for that if that is the case, but I hope it isn't. I feel like this cancer is going to be more like a chapter of my life, and that is also how the doctors have been kind of phrasing it and predicting it when they've talked to me, as they talk about my positive prognosis. But for other people, that's not how it is. For some people, they have chemotherapy for the rest of their lives because their cancer is incurable. It's only treatable. So for me, that's kind of how I'm feeling like it's going to affect my identity, and to that extent. But obviously I don't know until I continue to live my life. So let me know what you think about my rambling about identity and cancer and categories, and how your cancer story, or your particular cancer is affecting you and your identity and how you look at your life, both short-term and long-term. I'd really like to hear what people are thinking, or if it's something that anyone thinks about it all, or maybe it's just me who thinks as Atomy Sender thinks. So thanks for watching, and please leave a comment down below with your experiences on this whole issue, topic. Cool. Bye.